Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a profound and honestly game-changing shift in how parents, mentors, and educators connect with young men about mental health. Look, if you've ever tried to check in on a teenage guy and just hit an absolute brick wall, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to move away from those incredibly frustrating roadblocks and dive into some highly effective, evidence-based micro-strategies that actually get sons to open up. Okay, so let's jump right into this counterintuitive hook. Most sons don't open up to a meeting, they open up to a moment. Take a second to really think about that, because the very thing we are so often taught to do as concerned adults, to sit them down, clear away all the distractions, and have a hyper-focused conversation is exactly what causes us to fail. It creates this very formal meeting dynamic. And for a young man, a meeting feels exactly like an interrogation. Section 1, the serious talk trap, and why traditional methods fail. So we've all shared that common frustration, right? The dreaded shutdown. It happens because of the immense pressure that formal meetings create, especially when you compare that to the ease of a casual environment. When you schedule a serious conversation or use high-stakes opening lines, you instantly trigger a defensive response. It's a low-yield approach. The high-yield approach, on the other hand, is all about side-by-side contexts and low-stakes questions. It just completely strips the pressure right out of the equation. Think about it. Broadcasting your intent for a serious eye-to-eye conversation is literally the fastest way to make a boy pull away. Phrasing like, "we need to talk about your mental health," might sound super clear and proactive to us adults, but to a young man, it feels like a massive spotlight. It is a closed door before you even start. You've basically just announced a formal meeting, and mentally, he has already left the room. Section 2, the side-by-side shift, finding moments, not meetings. We need to shift away from that direct confrontation and lean heavily into shared activities. And the best part? Think about the moments you probably already have baked into your weekly routine. Driving, walking the dog, doing the dishes, working on the car together, fishing, hitting the gym, or even gaming side by side. You don't need to manufacture some special, quiet environment to connect. These everyday scenarios are absolutely golden opportunities. They do all the heavy lifting that a high-pressure, serious talk never, ever will. And the reason those moments work like magic is simple. Eye contact is high stakes for boys. Side by side is low stakes. Think about driving in a car together. You're both facing the exact same direction. He is effectively captive, sure, but he's totally unpressured because there's no direct eye contact demanding an immediate, perfectly articulated emotional response. It really is the ultimate high-yield approach. Section 3, opening small and listening. The right words and the right silence. Now, once you've established that great side-by-side moment, you've got to know exactly how to open the door without, ripping it completely off the hinges. Take a mental screenshot of this exact low-stakes opening line. How's your head been lately? It is beautifully simple. It doesn't use heavy clinical words like depression or anxiety, which can feel really stigmatizing. It just checks the temperature in a very casual, totally relatable way. Here's another really excellent option. Anything weighing on you I should know about? Notice how this phrasing just feels conversational and warm. It's highly practical. It essentially implies that carrying a load is totally normal, and it just offers to share the weight without demanding a full-on psychological breakdown. And hey, if you want to be slightly more specific, you can try this. Is school feeling heavy right now or okay? By giving him two simple options, heavy or okay, you significantly lower the barrier for him to actually respond. He doesn't have to awkwardly search for the perfect word. He can just pick one of the two you've offered, and the conversation naturally just flows from there. Okay, now here is the absolute secret weapon, and fair warning, it takes practice. It's called the second silence. It's that really uncomfortable quiet right after his initial, usually super brief response. As you ask these questions, you have to practice listening a bit longer than is comfortable. You have to wait through that initial silence to hear what comes next, because that is exactly where the real answer lives. You've got to resist the urge to jump in and fill the void. Let the silence do the work. Section 4, leaving the door open. Consistent, low-key signals. The reality is, sometimes the moment just won't yield a deep conversation right then and there. And you know what? That is perfectly fine. The goal isn't an immediate confession anyway. It's long-term connection. When the moment wraps up, or even just randomly throughout the month, deliver this line just in passing. You can always tell me. I'd rather know than not know. It ensures he knows that your ear, and even professional support if he ever needs it, are always routine, completely normalized options available to him. Ultimately, it all comes down to consistency over intensity. You want to repeat these low-key doors open signals quietly, maybe more than once a month. Less pressure absolutely equals more connection. You're laying down a solid foundation so that when he actually does need to talk, he already knows exactly where the open doors are. So you might be wondering, how does this build from the micro level of a parent's living room or car up to the macro level of entire school districts? If this works so well for individual families, how can educators harness this exact same concept? While the impact on education is incredibly direct here, districts that actively include this specific communication guidance in their parent newsletters are consistently reporting higher rates of family-initiated counselor outreach. Equipping parents with these practical, low-pressure communication tools actually drives vital engagement with school resources. It makes perfect sense. When parents learn how to open the door at home, they're way more likely to walk through the door at school. Section 5. Scaling School Mental Health. Enter MentalSpace School in Georgia. And this brings us right to the powerful macro-level district support systems that actually catch these students once that door is finally opened. A prime example is MentalSpace School down in Georgia. They provide incredibly comprehensive mental health support for K-12 schools. I mean, we're talking same-day teletherapy, dedicated therapist teams assigned directly to specific schools, and critical interventions like crisis, suicide, and violence prevention. They even handle staff wellness and family counseling using culturally competent, licensed, and diverse therapists. Plus, and this is huge for the administrators out there, they provide support to hit the HB 268 compliance deadline coming up in July 2026. They literally ensure that no student falls through the cracks. Crucially, they make this professional support highly accessible by removing the financial and bureaucratic barriers that usually get in the way. For Medicaid, it is $0 out of pocket. Nothing. They also accept a massive range of insurance: BCBS, Cigna, Aetna, UHC, Humana, Peach State, CareSource, and Amerigroup. And, super importantly for schools, the whole shebang is fully HIPAA and FERPA compliant. They've basically removed every single friction point for families. Okay, let's look at the numbers, because this is really where the rubber meets the road. Once you pair those low-pressure communication methods we discussed for the home with MentalSpace School's massive support network at school, the outcomes are just staggering. We are looking at an 89% improvement in attendance, a massive 92% reduction in student anxiety, and an 85% family satisfaction rate. That right there is the pure power of connecting the micro-moment to macro support. So for administrators, educators, and district leaders who are looking to implement these macro-level resources and actually see these kinds of outcomes in your own schools, reaching out to their team is definitely your next vital step. You can head right over to mentalspaceschool.com or shoot them an email directly at mentalspaceschool@chctherapy.com. We've covered a whole lot of ground today, right? From the front seat of a car all the way to district-wide telehealth networks. But it really all comes back to a single powerful principle. Most sons open up to a moment. Whether you're a parent driving your son to practice or an educator shaping a district's wellness policy, the opportunity is sitting right in front of you. So, what moment will you create today?